Hey, what's up guys and welcome back to Anime Making 2. And today I'm going to be giving you part 10 of What If Naruto was an outcast Uchiha in the time of the Sannins. Remember to get this one to 100 likes as usual, share this to all of your friends in your social media platform, and also guys, go ahead and check out the brand new episode of What If Naruto. Learn the Hierarchy before the pain art guys and enjoy that. And if you're new, yes, I did have 3 channels, Anime King, Anime King 2, Anime King 3. I post a brand new episode of What If Naruto, fused with Minato, Kushina, and Kurama over in Anime King 3, so go ahead, check that out, and enjoy guys. And remember, if you're new and this is the first time you hear my voice, yes guys, the 3 channels links will be down in the description, and also, don't forget to turn on that bell notification so you posted to see exactly when I post. So without further ado, what is to begin this new episode start? The intro. So the last time we left off, Sasuke was still in a coma, as Tobirama was beside his bed. Mito came in the room as he spoke to her, as he couldn't even look her in the eyes. He failed. He failed to protect the kids. And no Tsunade parents were dead. However, she did not blame him one bit, how could she? As she just hugged him. He also wrote something down rather quickly as he gave it to her, and told her to give it to the council, as he already made up his mind what he was gonna do, as he was gonna make a move that make Konoha come out on top in this. So with that, she brought it with the council, as they were shocked, confused, not really understanding. What it said was that they went to discuss the mutual agreement between the two nations. However, the missing Nins, Gold and Silver brothers, arrive, and they wipe out the Kumo platoon, and they attacked the Konoha platoon as well. And they were able to bring back the bodies of those that were killed. And the bodies were to be safely returned to the village, as they did not understand, as they had the chance of finding out about the secret black lightning that belonged to the Raikage, but the Hokage wanted them to return the bodies, so they had no choice. Mito had to once again show them why she was the first lady of the village, when they started to question her as well, as they quickly fell in line. As Mito made her way to see Tsunade, who arrived, as she noticed that Tsunade was in a different shirt, as she saw this small Uchiha symbol on the back of the shirt. It was right with the color. It now made a lot of sense. Surprisingly, Orochimaru asked Naruto for a spar, as he decided to oblige. So with that, they made their way towards the field as Tsunade arrived sometime later after being teased by her grandmother. As both Naruto and Orochimaru stood at the opposite end of the field, Jiraiya was rather upset that Orochimaru did not ask him to spar, so he was in Naruto's favor even though Orochimaru was his teammate. But still, the battle started as Orochimaru was fast. However, Naruto proved to be a more dangerous challenge, especially when he used his Sharingan, as Orochimaru didn't even stand a chance as Naruto placed him under Genjutsu and take him out rather easily. As they were making their way, Naruto proceeded to kick Jiraiya right in the face, as he told him never to spy on Tsunade ever again, as that left Jiraiya there in a broken heap. If Naruto did that to him, what would Mito do to him, especially since she loved to twist his ear whenever he cursed, so he wouldn't be going there to their house. So with that, he made his way, bringing Orochimaru to the hospital as well. The team decided to retake their mission as Hiruzen and his team was the first one to come in. The people were happy to see that Tsunade was back in favor. However, they were questioning Hiruzen regarding the mission parameters that he wanted to take. After all, given Tsunade's recent situation, when Naruto and his team came in, as they were going to take a mission without their sensei, The council didn't seem to be happy about that, not to mention they were not exactly in favor of Naruto and he just ignored them. Ignored them to the best of his ability. And they couldn't really do anything about it, however. They all looked toward each other as they got an idea. Brandishing a scroll, Harrison looked at the scroll strangely, as this mission was a rather dangerous one given that they were just Genins. And not to mention, they were going for weapons and coming back. The possibility of being, well, attacked was high. However, the group took the mission and said that they were going to do it. So with that they headed off, as Harrison and his team headed off as well. He told them to be careful, as they promised that they would. So with that out of the way, the two teams embarked on their missions. As Naruto and his team made their way, it didn't take them too long, as Harrison and his team also made their way towards their mission as well. However, when Naruto and his team arrived, Sakumo smelled blood. Being trained in the art of, well, assassins, he smelled the blood from a far distance away as something was wrong. However, Naruto insists on going to the village, as Dai was conflicted between these two things. More than once, Naruto and Sakumo got into arguments. Sakumo had said something once that he regretted until this day. He told Naruto that he had a family to go home to. Just because he did not, that didn't mean he should throw his life away as well. And he regretted ever since. However, he was not going to go down this road. But Naruto decided to go anyways, as Dai didn't want to go either. As Naruto ventured on, this was not their mission, however he still was too arrogant to listen to Sakumo as he went ahead, right on into the village, not knowing what was waiting for him there at all. So yeah guys, basically as we left off, you guys can switch across the PlayStation for yourself, and also remember to stay in tune for the rest of the watches coming your way. And yes, I need 3 channels, and making 2 and making 3, which I post whatever every single day for you guys to enjoy. So yeah, without further ado, what do you say we launch ourselves into this new episode? Let's begin now guys. Sensei, are we there yet? Each and every adult surrounding the carriage, carrying the pregnant lady, sigh, as they heard the child voice once again. Jiraiya, I've told you once. I've told you 1,000 times. Asking the same question over and over will not yield a different result, Hiruzen said. Jiraiya was pissed off as he looked towards the carriage. Why the hell does she get to ride in the carriage while we all walk, he said. The source of his annoyance popped her head out as she stuck her tongue out at him. Because I'm not a pervert, she said, as he glared towards the blonde Kunoichi. I am not, you are, and don't try to deny it, Orochimaru said. As the glare that Jiraiya sent him was one of pure anger. You're my teammate and a guy, for common sake. Agree with me for once, Jiraiya yelled at him. But Orochimaru simply shushed him off with his hand, not really paying him much attention. Alright, you two, be nice, Hiruzen said. And as for your question, Jiraiya, as he was gonna answer why he could not sit in the carriage while Tsunade was in there, sitting like a princess. Tsunade is a girl, plus she can help the lady the best, seeing that they're the same gender. However, the option seemed to just piss Jiraiya off even more, causing the others to chuckle at his misfortune. However, Hiruzen's instincts kicked in, as weapons came at him from his blind side. His body moved as he jumped away. Watch out! As the civilian guards drawn out katanas, that was a walk in the park compared to Shinobi's. Orochimaru, though, being placed on the right side, caught onto the weapons. In the blink of an eye, he reached into his sleeves and pulled out shurikens as he launched them. They made contact as the kunais launched themselves into the earth. It was then that he heard a sizzling noise, and sure enough, the kunai that he just deflected towards the bottom of the carriage had a small sizzling paper. That was... Tsunade, get out of there now! Orochimaru's shout elevated Hiruzen's worst fear. However, a blonde and a blue bump leaped out of the carriage's other side before it was blown to smithereens. He breathed a sigh of comfort. That was a bit too close. Tsunade slipped down the slide of the road as she was holding on to the pregnant woman, showing off her physical powers. Jiraiya, Orochimaru, both boys gathered immediately. With me, let's go, as he launched himself in the trees to where those weapons came from. Hey, what's wrong, Tsunade said, as she felt the woman squirming around in her arms. However, her eyes widened when she felt the fabric on her left arm get a little wet. I think the woman screamed. Tsunade's eyes went wide. Her water broke as she moved as quickly as she could, with as gently as she could carry the woman towards a nearby tree, as she placed her down as soft as she could. Hey, don't you fall asleep on me, as she tapped the woman. However, it worked. That was grateful. The one thing her grandmother taught her was never let the patient fall asleep. As Natty swallowed thickly as she realized what she would have to do. She would have to deliver the baby. Meanwhile, hello? Naruto's own voice called out in the barren street. His hand cuffed over his mouth to echo his voice louder. There was nothing here as far as he could tell, and he was scouting for almost an hour now. Anyone here? He shouted, going back to the basics. But the situation was rather odd. According to Sakamoto, there was a huge stench of blood in the air. He had caught on it as he stepped foot in here, so that assessment was true. Then where the hell was everyone? There should be something or someone, right? Attackers, survivors, hell, some dead body for crying out loud. But there was absolutely nothing here. Nothing at all. It was confusing and strange. All the streets were barren, all the houses were empty. There was nothing here to show any violence or break-ins, as he had stopped hiding and make his way out in the open to see if the invaders would drop and attack him if he let his guard down. But that was half an hour ago. Help! He came to a stop when he heard the soft whisper. As he snapped his gaze around, a Sharingan instantly activating as he took in every inch of this village to see where that came from. Please, someone, anyone. Someone was here, someone needed his help. And Sakamoto's fears were completely wrong. There were no enemies here, as far as he could see. Plus there was a survivor who needed him right now. The sound of soft sniffles started to get louder and louder as he stepped inside of a park. The lights were getting lesser and lesser, some of them flicking in and out. But as long as there was even a slight hint for his eyes to pick it up, he would be fine. As he pulled out his blade and walked, the scent of human blood was increasing with each step that he took, and the aura around this place started to get dark. But he made his way near to it, completely guarded, and finally, he came to a stop. A person, most probably a girl. Judging from her long hair, no, scratch that. He could see her chest, it was a girl, curled up in a tiny ball by the base of a tree, as she was trembling and crying. He saw her peeped out from her knees. He couldn't tell what color hair or eye was. He needed more color, and more light to gauge that. But she had long hair, though he could see it. However, he couldn't make out the color of it. The area that she was at was extremely dark. Her eyes, as he couldn't really tell the color. A bit of the moonlight came peering down on her, as he saw her eyes filled with tears, trembling. They looked so innocent. As she then got up and rushed towards him, as he brought up his blade to slice her throat, instincts kicking in, however he stopped himself. The more closer she got, the more. She reminded him of Sannin, looking quite innocent as she moved towards him. She was perhaps 16 years old. As she rushed towards him, he get himself ready, however he could not. It was strange, she did not attack him though. Instead she hugged him, she clutched onto him for dear life. As she trembled and held on to him, he held on back to her, trying to comfort her. As Naruto sniffed, something was wrong. Her entire body was covered in blood. She was dripping from head to toe. As he couldn't understand what caused her to be so covered by blood. You're from the leaf, she said, as he understood why she trusted him. He was an ally. Her way of running told him that she was no kunoichi, as she stumbled and almost fell upon a rock, and one could not fake cry as much as they try, especially not from his eyes, he would tell. So he wrapped her in a warm embrace, as he couldn't explain why all the blood. However, it's alright, he said to her, whispering softly as he held on to her. She then started to cry almost hysterically, like she went insane. However anyone would in his opinion. After all, she was drenched in so much blood. It must have really traumatized her a lot. Why did it always have to happen to the ones? The little innocent adorable ones like Isuna, he thought to himself. However, her arms squeezed him a bit tighter than before. It was then that his eyes started to spin. Every single instinct told him to run. Danger. Naruto quickly substituted himself with a log. Here, the log got torn through by dozens of chains. It was just shredded to pieces. As the girl tilted her head to the side, with this sick, twisted smile, there was no more crying. My, aren't we the feisty one? Who the hell are you? Said Naruto, as he now stood in the tree looking down towards her. As he looked towards the chains that had sprouted out of the ground, from coming nowhere. Who killed the people in this village, he said, as he tried to buy some time to think about the situation here. A monster! There was this innocent look on her face now, as she said that. Calm and serene. You, said Naruto, as he now understood the blood, her chains. It was her. It made his blood boil to just imagine how many life that she had taken to make her entire being soaked in blood right now. As he clenched his fist rather tightly, his glare intensified by his signature eyes would have made any other shinobi hesitate for a single second. However, this person was not normal or a shinobi. Don't look at me like that, please, she said, as she tiddled her toes together and looked down like she was almost shy, as her long shirt went straight down to her knees, as she was not wearing any footwear at all. And who is this monster, he asked, as he sent Chakra down to his legs and gripped his blade. Its knuckles started to become white. The girl tilted her head upwards, the smile returning back full force. Me, she said, and just with that small word, all hell broke loose. Meanwhile, Kano Hospital. So, how are you doing today? As fine a man would be in my condition, I suppose. He was bumped over the head. Is that any way to talk to a person? Is that any way to treat your injured Kage? Mito crossed her arms as she glared at him, as he sent her a light glare back, so she bumped him on the head. It annoyed him to no end as he couldn't really do anything about it, as she started to write on her clipboard. Tobirama hated hospitals. More so he hated any that had his relatives working in it. First it was his brother and now it was her. I'm fine now, he said. I'll be the judge of that, she said. Then may I leave, he asked. No. Why, he said, his eye twitching. A smirk came on her face, as she was probably enjoying this. Once he got out of it, the first thing that he will do would be to dispose of the chefs that were cooking for the hospital. Those things could not be considered food. And then he would ban Mito from ever being able to treat him. She could handle other patients, but not him. Hell, death was now seeming better to him. Just because I feel like it, she said. He gave her a glare. She smiled and tucked her hair behind her ears, as he sighed in defeat. And that made her smile even happier. She was glad though this was the most outgoing he has been since he heard about Sasuke's comatose state. She had been mindful enough to have Sasuke move into a separate room, to take Tobirama's mind off the man, and lessen his worry so much. Snell is on a mission, she said, making small talk. I see. His voice was indifferent, as that made her eyebrow twitch. He could at least act like he cared. She huffed and turned her head the other way. Tobirama saw it as he knew that if he did not rectify this problem here and now, he would have a problem later on. And Naruto, he said, as he could only see a bit of her face, however her lip did twitch upwards. He must be too, after all. He did say that he was going to take a mission today too. I can't believe that Naruto said that the old man is fun thing around. I'm not old. That was all that she gave him. And we do entertain ourselves. She raised the eyebrow. Doing what she asked. Sensible things, he said to her. And we play shogi as well. He always loses. It's fun. As Mito sweat dropped hearing that, as she glanced towards him as she saw that he had went deep in thought. Mito, can I ask you something, he said. She nodded her head once. At Misa and Ruku's funeral, her whole body stiffened at that. Was he thinking about that? Well, it was only natural. He wasn't able to attend it after all. And now she was getting depressed just thinking about it, as it made her feel like she wanted to cry her eyes out. Once again. Did Naruto cry? As she blinked at him, as he looked at her with an expectant gaze, as she tried to focus on that day, however, just Naruto alone. He did. However, he gave her an intriguing look. Why? As she was confused. Explain. He wanted an explanation? As he looked at her waiting. She released a breath when I walked over the back, where he was standing. Tears were flowing from his eyes, were his shoulders shaking. Tobirama said, interrupting, voice cracking, sobbing, sniffling. anything else to show if he was crying. Tobirama, she said, confused. Why are you... But he cut her off. Answer the question, he said, in a rather forceful way. His voice was icy cold, confused, and scared her a bit. As she did not understand, she looked away with a flash of pain in her eyes, but she hid it rather quickly. No, I only saw him tearing up. He said nothing as he dived into another deep thought, seeing as he was not paying any attention to her. She got up to leave. However, he grabbed her arm. Sit. As emotionless as ever, he made her sit down, forcefully. As gently as he could, he wrapped her arm around her shoulder and pulled her close to his side, still maintaining a respectful distance between, but still close enough to maintain comfort, as much as he could give to anyone. I apologize, he said. Just like that, she felt contradicted. For a moment, it felt like the weight had been lifted off her shoulder. However, it felt like it now increased tenfold at him apologizing. It's alright, she said. However, she failed to keep her composure as he reached up and wiped the tear off her cheek. He knew that he wasn't the smartest out of the bunch when it comes to these things, but the thing that he made her cry made him feel rather bad. I really am, Mito, he said. Now stop crying. As he tried to comfort her, she tearfully giggled at his weird way of trying to console her. He was speaking in a commanding tone and also in a gentle tone, so it came out rather funny. She didn't know why she cried. His little harsh statement opened up so many lock-away feelings that just came out. Thank you, he said, seeing her stop crying. Why, she said. Why so suddenly? Why did you ask that, she asked. Whatever had Tobirama Senjo riled up must be pretty damn important. I'd rather not say, he said to her. Mito sighed as she felt so tired. She didn't feel like she had the energy to milk it out of him when he didn't want to say anything. Tobirama, she said, whatever it is that you're hiding from me, I won't ask of you again, but it better not hurt any one of my children. If it does. She left the sentence incomplete due to a yawn that followed after it, as he felt her breathing label out, as she just curled up by his bedside and fell asleep. Visions that has been plaguing his dream every night, every day. They flashed through his mind, ever since that dreadful night. For all that was coming, he just couldn't forget what happened that night, and how oblivious everyone was to the truth. To this day, he didn't know if hiding everything, like what he and Sasuke had done, was the right thing to do. However, he made his choice as a Kage, and he had to live with it. But still, the burden and his words that he got from his sister a moment ago were putting a heavy load on him now. I hope so too, Mito, I really do. As he leaned back, he needed a good rest like this as well. It has been years since he let himself rest like this after all. Meanwhile, numerous chains ripped through the branch where Naruto was just standing on. They literally gouged it apart, to the point where the tree was being ripped apart. The moment Naruto's toe touched the ground, he was gone in a flash, as he rushed straight towards the girl that was just standing there in the same spot. He had full intention of ending this with a quick slash of his blade. However, chains upon chains sprouted from the ground, forcing him to leap and threw himself to the side, otherwise he would have been ripped apart. She could use those chains quite clearly even in the dark of this environment. All of them had thorns between their links to make them more deadly and shred everything they touched. However, the tip of them were a long, pointed spear that were able to gouge through anything it seemed to be able to touch. Those chains were designed with only one thing in mind: to kill. But he wasn't one to be scared off by some technique like that. Faster than she could blink, his feet picked up even more speed. Instead of slowing down seeing the incoming chains, he wasn't even phased to even blink away as he saw those metallic, dead chains coming towards him. Because he had something that made him different from all of those other shinobis. His eyes. Pumping up the chakra input to the back of his eyes, everything in front of him slowed down in an instant, as he flicked his wrists and began his dance. A dance of blade. As he fed his blade chakra to sharpen the edge, as the thing started to hum ominously. As his razor-sharp blade surpassed in the sharpest of any known blade to man almost instantly. It was said, when wielded by the one it trusted the most, it can cut through virtually anything. It was rumored to have been forged by the eternal black flames of one of the first ancestors of the Uchiha clan nearly a millennia ago. As Naruto twisted his hand and brought the blade up and the chain and blade made contact. The chain shattered like it was made of pure glass. However, two more took its place instantly. But before she could even blink or even realize what her chains was about to do, he was on the offensive. Flipping back to avoid another chain at his feet, he sliced it in half. The girl in question took a step back as she saw his onslaught, as she pushed her hand forward, commanding 4 more chains behind her to go on the attack. To be honest, she was a bit peeved to see how he was handling this situation like this. No one else had ever responded to her chains in that manner. Most were dead by this point, and those who were lucky enough to be alive by this point by being skilled, or lucky enough, always try to escape. No one ever even thought about attacking her. Not until now. But it wasn't that angered her. Her chains were extraordinarily strong. She had tested them a few times. They were hailed as unbreakable, however he was cleaving through them like they were made of butter. And it disturbed her quite a bit. Not that she was scared though. In fact, she felt tingling. In fact, she felt giddy. As she licked her lips. As she rubbed her thighs together, her heart beating a lot faster upon seeing him in front of her. Seeing his fluttering hair as he shattered another chain. As she watched the few drops of sweat dusted off his face as he sparkled in the moonlight. His eyes. His extraordinary eyes. One moment they were that baby blue and the next moment they were just this red. Authoritative, dangerous eyes that were now looking at her. Coming. He made her feel so alive and not to mention, so aroused. Naruto, who was unaware of all of this, jumped onto a chain as he flipped over it. He rushiously brought his blade up as it ground against the chain, as sparks went everywhere. However, that did not stop his momentum in the slightest, as he continued on his onslaught to destroy these chains to oblivion. But his eyes danced around, detecting everything, had also made him notice something else. He had saw a weakness. As many as he destroyed, she replaced them almost instantly. But even still, there was a pattern. A clear pattern there. She had not increased that number beyond 24. And that was a weakness. She had a limit. It was only to be expected given how hard they were. With each strike he made, with each break he made, his sword vibrates to show how strong they were. His sword usually cleaved through metal like nothing, if he weaved it so. However, these were making his sword vibrate. His grandmother chain wasn't even enough to offer him resistance when they did spar seriously. But these chains were serious and no joke. They were hard, like impossibly hard. However, there was a weakness to maintain that rigidity and strength. She was compromised in numbers. And seeing that she had not moved from her spot, it must be a stressful technique, so she had to remain where she was. However, she had a lot of chakra to keep on using his chains as she was using them. But he had to finish this right now. He didn't have that amount of chakra to just throw around like she was using it, as he was holding back his techniques until he found a weakness. Even better if he could finish this without them. And just now he found a third hole in her technique. The chain that he glanced towards the side of his ear did not disappear. She could not bring them back and cause them to attack him. Especially when he was in front of her like this. It would cause problem to turn it around and clash with the others. And she could not dispel it. Maybe if she did that, it would waste a lot of chakra. Or maybe she could not. Well, he was gonna have to test this to make sure. As he moved off once again to close the distance between them. Having no time for rest, she just let her remaining 3 chains out to stop him. He was just too much for her to handle. And that was not in terms of strength or skill. Well, her lower abdomen region was killing her right now, and she was doing all that she could to keep herself composed. All 3 chains converged upon him like a helix formation. A huge burst of chakra and he was off, straight up in the air. They swirled as they went upwards, straight towards him as he was in mid-air. He sheathed his blade and plucked his hand down straight in his holster, and pulled out the shurikens. A Sharingan was a chains as he was upside down in mid-air, completely vulnerable. In a span of a second, he threw out ninja wire and put into the holes of the shurikens and clutched it right in his teeth. As he spun and launched them, they hit perfectly the gap right between each link of the chain. Each chain getting hit by dozens of weapons right between the links, as it stabbed them into various trees way too far away from each other. As Naruto twisted and landed right behind her, right on the 2 chains that came from her back. As he lowered his head towards her ears. Now, you're done. His voice almost resonated in a bloodthirsty Shinigami for a moment, resonated through her. She glanced back as she saw those luscious eyes of his. The moment she heard that whisper, all restraints as she was holding back went out the window. As if turned to jelly, her legs gave way as she fell down. Her chains disappearing as well, as her mind just blanked out. As her breathing became labored, like a schoolgirl, she bit her lip, her cheeks red, as her body trembled. As she heard the sliding sound, as Naruto unsheathed his blade and placed it right at her throat. She did not even flinch from the cold metal. But he had to do something before he finished her off. He needed information. This was something he would need to live with, if he did not accomplish it right now. Tobirama would certainly have his head for not finishing his enemy off, when she was certainly out of it. Why did you do it, he said, as he got straight to the point. He needed answers, he needed them right now to think that she wiped off the entire village off the map. He had to hear her reasoning. However, for 5 seconds she did not speak, so he brought his sword back to end it. Because of you, he stopped. He had half a mind to let her head roll for the ridiculous nonsense that she was sprouting. I came here in the afternoon, and I waited, and I waited, and I waited. But you didn't come, she said. What was she saying? Was he the one she was here for? So I got bored, but I stayed put like a good girl. But that annoying guard had to set me off, so I killed him and I returned back to being a good girl. But then they all started to panic. And well, here we are, she said. All because Vagar ticked her off, she killed all of them. That was her reasoning? But there was one thing you want to know. The bodies. Where are they? As he tightened his blade. As he nicked her neck to draw some blood. To show her her current position. Oh, those. Who the hell did she think that she was? Dismissing them like they were nothing. One wrong word and her head would roll. I staked them outside the other end of the village. Like a bouquet. It was a bit hard, but it really is pretty. I'll show you. He sliced her head clean off. However, her body burst into water. Chains erupted from the ground and hit him. However, no vital points were hit. She wasn't here to kill him. She was here just for him. The rest had only been victims. He had walked into a direct trap that was laid there just for him. He wasn't a predator, he was a prey. As she came out from behind him, her slender arms wrapping around him. You're not the only one that knows clone, she said. As his sword pierced her chain, they poofed away. Shut up, clone. You really are too much, Naruto-kun. No wonder why he wants you so much. Run. But you won't escape me. As she pulled her chains back inside her body. I will have you love for me. And only me have the right to completely destroy you. Let's play if you want to, as she giggled. She couldn't wait to break those chains. Those chains that were holding him back. He really had so much potential, just like he had told her. There was so much of it, and she needed to free him. Meanwhile, a mile away from the village. It's only 4 hours till dawn, said Dai. If Sakumo heard him, he did not show any signs of acknowledgement, as he was not in the right state of mind right now. That godforsaken, idealistic, prideful friend of his had rushed into the village that was reeking of blood, while he was here, lying down doing nothing. His heart screamed at him to go in, all gun blazing, and get that blonde idiot, knock him out, preferably. But his mind, his training, and years upon years of his father's tutelage stood tall in his head. He was doing the right thing. Why risk everything for something that they didn't even need in the first place? But why? Why wasn't he here by now? It had been 2 hours now since Naruto walked in to that hellish village. You know, Sakumo, his thoughts were broken by Dai. I feel like a coward. Sakumo pulled himself up. We are not cowards, Dai. We're doing the right thing. He tried to console him. We are shinobis. Dai wasn't being his usual self, as today it took a lot on him. Listen to me, Dai, he said, as he was most likely trying to convince himself. He need to learn restraints. We can't always. Sakumo head snapped towards the village, as he instantly jumped down besides Dai. Dai was confused what was going on. Sakumo gulped, sweat running down his face, dripping off his chin. That sudden upsurge of chakra. It was unlike anything he ever felt before. How could a human even possess such chakra? They saw the village light up in a bright yellow glow. Sakumo mind analyzed things a mile a minute. To power up a technique of that scale, most likely a small battalion of shinobi would be needed. 5 teams, high tuning level at least. And that in itself spelled trouble for Naruto. As Dai pulled up his orange scarf. Dai, what are you? I'm going in. What the hell? Did everyone he knew were going suicidal today? You can't. As Dai pushed him back, he would do it for me. All the restraints drained away from Sakamoto as those words hit him hard. Dai jumped as he rushed into the village as fast as he possibly could. Naruto would really do it for Dai. No, not just for Dai. For Tsunade, for their sensei, for any leaf shinobis. He would lay his life down for him. Naruto would do it for him. He would do it for him. All of his father's training, how to restrain himself. But he just couldn't. He couldn't let his friend in there by himself. Hold on until I get there. Don't you die on me, you reckless fool, as he jumped down and rushed. Meanwhile, in the unknown alley in the village, Naruto ran like his life depended on it, which it did as he moved. The moment the girl said that she was there for him, he had substituted with a clone. So he was perfectly fine. If she was here for him, he knew right then and there that he was in a trap. And the only thing for him to do was run and escape this village. There was no doubt about it, she was Uzumaki. There was no doubt about that. If her chains weren't a dead giveaway, her seemingly unlimited amount of chakra were. There was no ordinary Uzumaki girl either. Her reserves already quadrupled his grandmother by a far margin, and he knew that she was just getting started. Just what was she? He had to move, he had to get the hell out of here. A Sharingan picked up something on the ground. His eyes widened. Shit. As he realized what that block marking on the ground was. A kanji. The thing underneath his feet was a seal. As he rushed out the alley to see, the entire middle street covered with the kanji. In fact, if his guess was right, the range of his technique covered the entire village. A village-wide sealing technique. I was trapped the moment I entered this god-forsaken village. But he took a calming breath. He had to think, what would Tobirama do if he was here? Seals were incredibly powerful if the caster had time to prepare it firsthand. She certainly had taken her time, seeing that it went all over the damn village. Every technique has a weakness, there are no exceptions. So calm yourself down. Years ago when Tobirama had trapped him in a low-level seal, he was 6 if you remember correctly. He had heard those words from a strict master. Analyze the technique, you have your Sharingan to help you, and a sharp mind to go with it. Accept that you're trapped, break down the opponent techniques. Strip it down to the basic and utilize the most suitable counter even if it's not perfect. Your priority is to contain the technique and create a way for your survival, by any means necessary. Naruto's eyes snapped open as he remembered his mentor words. He still had the advantage. He knew of her skills, but she didn't know much about his as he knew about hers. He had made sure that he still had a majority of his chakra, because he did not use any real techniques in battle. She was a Uzumaki, so this was most likely a Uzumaki seal. An Uzumaki sealing technique he was well versed in. The kanji at his feet started to light up, but that was besides the point. The kanji started to wrap around his ankles. He brought his hand up quickly as he started to form the dog and boar seal. As he realized what this was, this is a high level paralyzing seal. Uzumaki sealing style, no doubt. I don't feel any pain, so no torture triggers, but I have lost all control over my body. It's cutting off the consciousness. The paralyzed me in place. She probably need me alive for some reason. As he watched she step around the corner, now he could see her purple eyes that were a lot more darker than Mito's. Her long red hair going down her hips. But the menacing smile on her face. He couldn't let her do what she wanted with him. He would most probably die or worse. Naruto-kan, she said. She knew his name, now that was truly bad. Holding on to his composure, his Sharingan and chakra that he molded was still intact. There was no chakra restraint seals in this paralyzing seal, and that would be her mistake, that would be her undoing. Her hands slid up from underneath his shirts. Disgust could even tell what he felt as she pressed her lips on his cheek. As she licked his face, straight going up as she stopped right at his hair. I'll have so much fun breaking you. That is before I unleash your true potential, my love, she said, as she whispered in his ear. He prayed that she did not move his hand as his chakra was still molding. As he conjured up all his spiritual energy, the trigger technique. Just a trigger, that was all it was gonna take. A chain pierced his abdomen, he didn't even move. Just a few inches away from his liver. Tobirama had made sure that pain did not affect him in the slightest, as she drew her nails down his chest, drawing blood. Tobirama was rather thorough in pain knowledge. Mito did not know about this because he was rather brutal, but it was necessary and it was now helping him because he did not focus on the pain that he was receiving. This wasn't even compared to what Tobirama did to him when he was a child, so this pain meant nothing. You really are my type. Not even flinching away from pain. Yes, now I see exactly what he sees in you. Another chain stabbed his right shoulder, but he was unfazed. It was only a matter of time. But he stored away that information though. She was not the only one someone had sent her. But you could at least act like you're in pain as she hugged him, before she ripped out the chains out of his body. She let him bleed for a little while longer. He didn't need to be dead, just close to death. Yeah, that would do it, she thought. She then pulled out a small syringe as his eyes widened. There was a black vial in it. As he didn't want to be stabbed with that, let's unleash your potential then and get straight to the taste. I prepped you up quite long enough. Her hand shot up and gripped his neck as she turned his head to the side. He then smirked, as she wondered was he enjoying this like how she was enjoying it. However, she was wrong. Lightning release, he gasped out. Her eyes widened as she heard that, as he let go his lightning release. To his nervous system to be exact, a silent scream left his lips as his technique was activated from the inside out. Thousands of volts of electricity running through him. As he slammed his fist in her stomach, all the lightning rushed through him and hit her full force. Her body spasmed as she was thrown away from him. But how? How can you move, she said. She curled up in a ball in pain, but he did not care, nor did he feel remorse. Still covered in the content of her technique, Naruto walked proudly. Her high-level paralysis seal was still activated, but he was moving as if nothing was wrong with him. At least not on the outside, as lightning sparkled around him, his hair was shooting up upwards. You don't have to know how, just know I did. And with that said, he bolted off, literally. His body basically turned to a lightning bolt. All she saw was a blue blur, and electricity spasming as he was gone. Naruto knew that he didn't have much time. As soon as this technique dropped, he would fall instantly, from the pain he was going through. That is why he couldn't finish her off. His nervous system was now connected to his subconscious mind, because his body was still paralyzed. However, he used the lightning to connect his system together. But with the lightning coursing through him, he was faster, his eyes seeing everything around him at quadruple the speed as he moved. To think the Raikage used this technique with black lightning that was so much more dangerous than regular lightning. Well, he didn't have the resilient body like the Raikage, as he was covering a 10-minute run in 1 minute and a half. This was the Achilles heel against any Fuinjutsu or Ninjutsu, a final matter to move. A couple years back, he damaged his nervous system really badly, and Tobirama refused to make him use it. Naruto scoffed inwardly, his mentor being the one to talk about forbidden techniques, him of all people. He was a walking scroll label as forbidden technique from top to bottom. Half a mile out the village, Naruto saw two familiar faces. After keeping it up for 15 minutes, which was a long time, as Naruto was starting to feel his body fail, Dai and Sakamo were shocked when a bolt of lightning just thundered out in front of them as it sizzled. As Naruto started to fall, the lightning vanishing, Dai caught him. "Run! Now," he said, as he passed out. Sakamo and Dai, seeing their friend in this state, they did not need to be told twice. So they did as he told. As Dai placed Naruto on his back and ran, Sakamo moving beside him. No stops as they bolted straight to Konoha. They wasted no time. "I told that reckless idiot not to go," Sakamo said as he looked towards his friend to make sure that he was okay. But he wouldn't be Naruto if he did not. "But he's alright. He's gonna be alright, Yosh," said Dai as they moved. But they wonder though what the hell happened to him back there, and what put him in this state. Time skip. What about the events that took place in the village? The place was tense. In the council chambers, I find it prudent not to enter so recklessly and stay back. Might Dai too was convinced with my argument, so he did not enter either. Since we were not in there, we were unable to tell what happened. The only one that can answer those questions is Naruto Uchiha, Sakamo said as he stood in front of the top officials of the village. All of their scrutiny eyes were on him. Did you try and stop him? Before Sakamo could answer, the Hyuga clan head spoke. Just say yes or no will suffice. Sakamo wanted to say that it wouldn't be a fair argument without an explanation, but he relented in the end. Yes, I did. As he felt like he had hammered down the final nail over Naruto's coffin. The report that he made to them was rolled up and stacked in front of the others. All the whispers ceased and were replaced by little warm smiles that did not fool them in the slightest. Then I guess we should congratulate this genin, Akio Inuzaka said. Indeed, the Yamanaka clan head said, your contribution was proper as expected of a team leader. You analyzed the situation astutely. You made calm decisions and never rush in and lose your position until it was absolutely necessary. A fine job under pressure, if I do say so myself. A shinobi must know when to retreat and try to save as many as he could. However, your teammates' actions should not go unnoticed. Sakumo gazed narrowed as he noticed. They almost seemed like they want to smile, like they were enjoying this. I'm bumping this mission rank up to B. Please collect your payment for the mission. Walking up, Sakumo did collect the payment scroll. This wasn't assigned by any client. It came under the jurisdiction of the village internal affairs, so they had all right to do with it as they see fit. But there was one thing wrong though. Sir, there's only 2, he said. Yes, that is yours and my dice. We will hold on to Naruto Uchiha payment until he is here to retell his actions and explain his side of the story personally. Sakumo wanted to argue. After all, what the hell did him and Daya did to get this payment bumped up as well? It was Naruto who rushed into enemy lines. He was he that fought whoever he had fought. Even if it was a mistake on his part, he deserved the payment much more than them, because he absolutely needed that money. How the hell would he be paying for his living expenses, much less his medical bills that were racking up at the hospital? Then these fools know that he had to pay for everything himself. Being an orphan, and in the eyes of this village he was an adult, he had no one to rely on. Even Dai was better off than him because his parents were greatly supported in small merchant business in the village. He opened his lips to say something, however. That will be all. You are dismissed. As he clenched his fists, he ignored the orders they were given to the chonins to retrieve the bodies at the village. He was far too engrossed in his own thoughts right now to really think about anyone else. It was only Naruto that had taken the heat for this mission. For some reason, he didn't feel like getting paid for a mission. And the guy that did everything on his own was now lying in the hospital and he wouldn't get paid. However, that fool was also responsible as well for jumping in like that. If he had not, he wouldn't have gotten hurt, and now the villagers' top council members were up to something. Damn it. Why couldn't you have listened, he thought to himself, as he made his way towards the hospital. Well, as Sensei always says, mission don't always go as planned, as he made his way straight to the hospital to see what was going on. But guys, be subscribe right here. If you want to see next parts, and do like, subscribe, comment down below, and turn on that bell notification to stay posted. Remember, share to all their friends in social media platform. And also, don't forget to stay in tune for the rest of the What Ifs coming your way, guys. Links will be down in the description, so go ahead and check out Anime King and Anime King 3 if you're new. Yes, there's no mistaking it, I indeed have 3 channels, Anime King, Anime King 2, and Anime King 3, which I post What If on every single day. Yes, you heard that correctly, every single day for you guys to enjoy. So go ahead, click that red subscribe button, become a part of the Anime King family, and thank you for all of your help and support. And yeah, without further ado, I'm over now. See you guys soon. Peace.